Now, the floods in KwaZulu-Natal and load shedding were major contributing factors to the economic decline in the second quarter. The manufacturing sector was the biggest drag on the GDP. The July unrest damaged to factories and plants and disruptions to logistics and supply chains pulled national manufacturing output down by 5.9%. Trade, catering and accommodation are also negatively impacted. The industry recorded a contraction of 1.5%, that is in construction. Mining production was dragged lower by gold, coal and diamond outputs and by severe load shedding in this period.
We have seen a decline in agriculture as well, largely attributed to animal products. But also we have seen a decline in mining and quarry, we have seen a decline in construction. But if you look at transport and personal services as well as finance, they went on a positive growth, but they were not strong enough to offset the negative growth that was reported in this quarter. But when you come to manufacturing, you can already see the power outages that we have experienced in the tail at the beginning of the quarter, but also particularly your floods in KwaZulu-Natal, because there are a lot of plants in KwaZulu-Natal and the floods have disrupted the economy.
After two consecutive quarters of positive growth, South Africa's economy dipped in the second quarter of 2022. The devastating floods in KwaZulu-Natal and load shedding contributed to the decline, weakening an already fragile national economy.
This contraction has put us at below COVID levels. You will remember that the highest we had ever seen was in the fourth quarter of 2018, which was sitting at 1.153 trillion. And of course, out of that, just before COVID, we were sitting at 1.148 trillion. Then during the second quarter of 2020, which was at the highest level of COVID lockdown, we went below a trillion in that quarter. We went to 952 billion. Last quarter, in the first quarter of 2022, we had seen a recovery to pre-COVID levels, sitting at about 1.153 trillion. But this time we have declined again. This contraction has declined our real economy, real GDP, to 1.148 trillion.
Now, the economy contracted by 0.7% in the second quarter of 2022. Severe load shedding and the April floods in KwaZulu-Natal dragged down activity. Our business reporter, Kopano Gumbi, has more.
When the country was hit by stage 6 load shedding for only the second time in history, experts warned that economic decline was on the horizon. And the latest data from Stats SA on the country's GDP shows that they were right.
Towards the end of June, we moved to stage 6 load shedding. Now, stage 2, stage 4 was estimated to cost the economy around about 700, 900 million per day. And stage 6, we're guessing here, but it's closer to about 1.5 billion plus today.
Consistent power is critical for a growing economy. In the second quarter, 7 of 10 sectors recorded negative growth and cited intermittent power as their biggest drawback.
We expected to see a general contraction across most sectors. In agriculture, that was down 7.7%. We know that there was also a ban on chicken export. So those factors all played a role over this period of time. We also had the KZN floods, so that also definitely had an impact. On the other side of manufacturing, as you would expect with load shedding, that was down about 5.9%.
Although the markets expect a turnaround in coming quarters, the labour movements do not share similar optimism.
To expect the economy to grow when the major infrastructures that could create jobs and make the economy to grind properly are being destroyed or are being allowed to collapse, like railway, for instance, which will make people to move properly, which will make goods to move properly from one area to another. Not only that it create jobs, but it makes the economy veins to flow freely. If those are not strengthened and corrected, to expect that there will be a miracle that the GDP numbers will change, it's something actually to interpret the economic functions differently. So our view is that there's a lot that does not support the economic growth as things stand now.
South Africa remains a small and open economy, which is affected by what's happening in the global markets that are also taking strain. And despite the negative growth in the second quarter, there's still some hope in the market that overall the economy will grow in 2022. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I am Kopano Gumbi in Johannesburg.